Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Grunge Bible Podcast. September is rolling along, and with it, another album review. This is episode 26. I am joined by Ethan Shalloway as usual. Ethan, what's going on today?
Nothing much. It is a beautiful Friday, actually. So 2 days ago, we had Ida come through, and it brought the rain and brought the flood again. We've had record highs, but also because of the last 2 days, the temperatures have dropped significantly, and it is like a high of 70 today, which, for the summer and for the way it's been going, it feels unbelievable outside. It feels so good. It was the first taste of fall yesterday where it just feels so crisp, and that is a good feeling. That got me really jacked up. I was excited. It makes me want to, football season's right around the corner. It makes me want to play golf and just be outside, get a fire going. So I'm doing really well. I'm pretty happy. How are you doing?
Yeah, man. I echo pretty much all of those sentiments. I'm having a really good day. Same thing, as your situation. I think last night it was in the 50s, which for me is like my optimal sleeping weather. Mm-hmm. So got the windows open wide. It's nice and sunny. It really feels like autumn is here. And yeah, I definitely enjoy the first parts of autumn. Once it starts to get a little colder in the fall, I'm not a particularly large fan, but just trying to, enjoy it because it's here, and that's what we got. We got a good episode on deck for today, and I'm looking forward to commemorating all month long. I think that
we're entering into the best month of the year, obviously.
Yeah, because we were born.
We have our birthdays, but then there's the birthdays of a lot of albums out there. It's like it's a starting season for a lot of reasons. What we have, obviously, we're going to be doing Nevermind today, Core. We're talking about Blood Sugar Sex Magic, as you said, from the Chili Peppers.
Yep.
What else is there? There's Bad Motorfinger.
Dirt by Alice in Chains. There's really a lot of them. September, in a way, is like, I don't know, it's like grunge Hanukkah, except instead of, what is Hanukkah 12 days?
8
crazy nights. We've got 30 albums. Days of insanity. So basically the strategy moving forward is, each week throughout the month of September and perhaps beyond, we're going to take one of these albums that celebrates their birthdays during this month, and we'll break it down. We'll share some thoughts, share some factual evidence from the past, and just have an overall splendid time with these records. So today, as we said, is going to be Nevermind by Nirvana, probably the album that you could say changed everything. But before we get into it, we have some patrons we would like to thank. At the time of this recording, we have a number of individuals who are in the top tier of Patreon who are making this podcast possible. This is officially the half-year mark of the Grunge Bible Podcast with episode 26, which is pretty great.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you, Ethan. Congratulations to you. This is... I don't know. I feel like we're still on episode 12 or something, but we're rolling right along. And
the nice part about that is it's like, there was definitely some doubt when we first started, and that's why it took a little bit long to start. But
I just assumed we would suck at it too.
The fact that we're a half a year in and we haven't missed a week or we haven't done it, that's worth a pat on the back.
Oh, absolutely.
That's pretty exciting for us. So I think that we're both pretty excited. Half a year, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I will cheers to that later on. Yeah, it feels like an accomplishment. So hopefully everybody else thinks it is. But regardless,
progress is worth celebrating.
And for me, absolutely, we're excited. So nevertheless, this podcast, as usual, is made possible by a number of individuals who are a part of the top tier on our Patreon, and their names are Victor Schaefer, Marianne, Shannon Gorgone, Sonny Mashburn, Alexis Shannon, Release, Jade Mercado, Sue, The Real Billy Corgan, Kayla Jean, and Laura Nyreen. So to all of you, thank you for your continued support of the Grunge Bible Podcast. And we're very grateful that we still have the opportunities to bring this podcast to you on a weekly basis. As Ethan mentioned, we haven't missed yet. And, if we made it through this summer, because this was a hectic summer and we didn't miss, I feel pretty good about this.
Well, we keep talking about how we're about to get into the fall and get back to a different type of schedule, which will allow us to be maybe more, elaborate with the podcast, get some guests. I know there's some things we want to do. So the fact that we made it through with some really great episodes, we're all excited for that.
Absolutely. So without further ado, should we talk some
Let's
Nirvana?
Get into it.
I think we should.
Yeah.
So Nevermind.
Nevermind.
Yeah. Oh well, Nevermind. Yeah, we're actually not going to talk about it. Sorry, that was a really lame joke. I probably shouldn't have said that. That's stupid.
Yeah, Drew, cut that. Not really, but
yeah. So Nevermind. Let's talk about it. So this is Nirvana's second studio album, and it came out on September the 24th, 1991. So it's turning 30 years old this month. September 24th of 91 is notable because that is the exact same day that Bad Motorfinger from Soundgarden came out, and Blood Sugar Sex Magic from the Chili Peppers. So 3, all-timer albums all coming out on the same day. Oh,
rank them.
Bad Motorfinger,
real quick.
Bad Motorfinger, Nevermind, and Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah.
But there's a considerable gap in my personal ranking between Bad Motorfinger and Nevermind. I just love Bad Motorfinger.
And Nevermind and Blood Sugar Sex. Is there a big gap there too? Are those close?
I think they're in the ballpark. There's a decent gap. What about you? How would you rank those 3?
I don't know. Bad Motorfinger is like one of my top grunge. That's one of my top albums.
It's no secret that we're Soundgarden guys.
Yeah, exactly. So I would probably go the same, but Nevermind probably is my favorite. Well, is it my favorite?
I'm an
Nirvana
In Utero
album?
guy personally.
Yeah, I thought so. Nevermind is a great album, but I would say top. I would go the same order. Anyway,
absolutely.
Continue.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about because in the grand scheme of things, if you ask any individual who is cognizant of this time period, they're probably going to know Nirvana and grunge and the whole teenage alienation and the voice of Generation X and Kurt Cobain is disgruntled and all that bullshit they would say on like the nightly news and everything. But I mean, there's some merit to that. Obviously, Nevermind is really the album that kind of broke the grunge movement wide open, particularly from Teen Spirit. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. So this was their first record on a major label. So they released this one on Geffen Records, and originally I think it's fairly well known. They were originally signed to Sub Pop out of Seattle, and they released Bleach under the Sub Pop header, I guess, under their subspecies. And there were some interesting things going on here. So they released Bleach in 1989, and as 89 bled into 1990, the Sub Pop brass and Nirvana, they're kind of jonesing to get in the studio and get another record out. And I believe Sub Pop connected them with the mighty Butch Vig, the producer of Nevermind. So they actually traveled to Madison, Wisconsin, where Butch Vig was based at the time, during April of 1990 to get together and begin work on their second album for Sub Pop. But just because of maybe the sound that they were going for wasn't quite there, the mixing wasn't accurate, they ended up taking a hiatus and just went back to playing shows. I think there were like 8 songs there, but not a lot of the lyrics were really finished at the time.
And so they all kind of, not all of them ended up on the album. I think a few of them were on other albums and B-sides, and the names changed and stuff.
Totally. And at the time, Chad Channing was still the drummer for Nirvana. Dave Grohl had not entered the picture yet. So, time kind of went on. They left the studio, went back to, the West Coast and Pacific Northwest in particular. And during this time, Nirvana took these studio recordings from the unnamed second album project under Sub Pop, and they began shopping them to other music labels and record companies. And unbeknownst to Sub Pop at the time, I think the Sub Pop, I think Bruce Pavitt, he had heard that Nirvana was shopping, for a new deal, but he was like, whatever, like, I signed them, I think we'll be okay. But they eventually ended up signing with Geffen Records, and they used the Sub Pop album 2, demos as the demo tape to get them signed to Geffen. And then they ended up going back into the studio, this time I believe in Van Nuys, California, with Mr. Vig once again. And at that time, Dave Grohl had joined the band, and they went in and they ended up recording and cutting and mixing and finishing off what the world would know as Nevermind.
Yeah, that's I was reading about it, and I guess they did some funding, some concerts to some local shows to earn gas money to get to the studio, and I guess they played "Smells Like Teen Spirit" on the streets, like right before they sent it to Vig.
Yeah, it was like their first first performance of it before it had come out.
They knew what they had. Yeah,
yeah, it's weird to think about.
It's pretty crazy. It is crazy that Dave Grohl jumped in the middle of all this after Chad left. Because I think he was a part of the tours. He was a part of that tour stretch they did. And then once the tour ended, Chad left. And then they saw Scream play. And they really liked, obviously, Dave and the band. Scream, I guess, dismembered. And it fell into place perfectly where Grohl was like, hey, can I come and join? Or did they reach out to Grohl? I'm not.
I actually I don't know the specifics, but it's really interesting, because obviously, Channing had drummed for them, and I think Dale Crover did for a little while as well. It's kind of one of those things that a lot of people say about Pearl Jam with Dave Abruzzese. It's like when that drummer, it just goes to show you how important a fantastic drummer is, and Grohl just fit with what Nirvana were trying to do back then. In 1991, and it sounds like Dave Grohl's drumming was just made for Nevermind, similar to what people say about Dave with, the Versus album or certainly the live performances of 10, and it's just kind of really one of those things. And, it's interesting because this was, I think I tend to forget sometimes too that there was a Nirvana record before Nevermind, just because it was their big hello to the world, and obviously it became bigger than probably anybody had ever imagined that it would. So it's a really interesting snapshot just to kind of see where all of their songwriting was at, and Kurt's where Kurt's songwriting was at. And it's interesting because Dave Grohl said afterwards, with Kurt, the music was always the first priority, and then the lyrics would come second. And it's interesting, to kind of think about that, because for some reason with me, like, I always just assume and think that the lyrics might be this paramount thing, and it's like I have this message to deliver. And I think Kurt was really just after how it sounded, and Dave seems to verify that. But regardless of what the priority levels were, I mean, talk about going into the studio and coming out with something like Nevermind. I mean, that's a fair accomplishment, I would say.
Yeah, and I think they had a very specific, sound they were going for, and that's why they got Butch Vig to do it. And I know that they were they didn't want it to be finished. They wanted like a real. I think they really wanted it to be raw still, because I mean, Bleach was a very punky album, but I do know that they were trying to be a little bit more intentional with the producing, I think, and that's why they got Butch Vig.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And I think a big misconception about Nirvana and about Kurt Cobain is that they were not interested in being commercial successes. I think that was something that was a priority for them, and I think you can hear it in this record, because when I hear Bleach, for example, like I just hear a punk record, I don't hear what grunge is. And, with this one, it's packaged up, in such a way that, of course it was going to be, commercially successful. I don't think it would be as successful as it ended up being if it wasn't for the Teen Spirit music video. I think that just the rare intersection of time and space where the stars align. What are your thoughts? Do you think? Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, you just posted a really interesting casting call the other day on the page, and it was I guess a letter. Did they just post that, or did they send that out? It was
an open casting call because obviously with the Teen Spirit music video, I think we all probably know what it looks like, but they needed the individuals to be a part of it, of the high school setting or whatever, and they needed them, so they put the casting call out. I'm not sure through which avenues it was released, but it's interesting.
That was a really cool thing. It was like come dressed.
Yeah, dressed like I don't know if that would happen anymore, and how cool would that be, as the decade went on, to tell your buddies like, hey, I was in that, I was in the Teen Spirit music video.
There are those stories out there where someone's like, yeah, like I saw that and me and my friends thought it would be cool, or like I had no idea who Nirvana was, but I wanted to do this, or however they ended up in that music video. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pretty cool.
Totally. Do you think, because I don't think it's a secret, and I think it's a pretty objective fact that the Teen Spirit music video made Nirvana what it was, and it made Nevermind what it was, commercially at least. So do you think without that, would they have found commercial success? Because I'm assuming they wouldn't have found that level of success, without the help from MTV. Yeah. But what do you think?
Take that song out completely.
If they never did a music video for Teen Spirit, what do you think would have happened? Because they ended up selling like they were doing a rate where I think by the time that had come out, they were selling like 300,000 copies a week, because it just exploded.
Yeah, I think they would have.
Really?
I think that Kurt Cobain, as much as he didn't want it, he was destined to be famous. And I mean, he had the personality. He had I just think that, even though he probably didn't want to, which, there's an argument there if he really did or not. But I think that he just would have became a figure, like a public figure. And with his other music, I think it would have worked. And the way that he would have performed concerts would have been memorable and notable. So something would have caught traction the way it did. And maybe it would have took a little bit longer, but I think that he could have intersected with certain bands differently if he didn't have it. So yeah, I think they would have. I think that Kurt Cobain was destined to be, I don't know, at the front of the grunge movement, you know what I mean? And all of this anti or countercultural movement and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you not think so? Do you think that it was that pivotal for them?
I don't think it would have been as successful, just because I think a lot of these numbers are just completely astronomical. But thinking about it, Nevermind, I think was
right. Probably not to the.
Yeah, I think Nevermind was packaged in such a way that and produced in such a way that it was probably the most commercially palatable record to come out of Seattle. To that point, I mean, obviously it's much more commercially palatable than Bleach, for example, or the early Screaming Trees records, or certainly Mudhoney or the Melvins, or so I mean you have all of these bands and these records, and I guess maybe the only other one would have been 10 that I think was really, really packaged in such a way that people just were able to take to it, and it was easy to play on the radio. But this goes back to kind of my thought that I think Kurt and the band knew what they were doing. I think fame and success and notoriety was something that they were searching for, and obviously they ended up getting it. And I still think they would have gotten it, without Teen Spirit. But Ethan, I've mentioned on the podcast before that I am not the world's biggest Nirvana fan, and I said earlier in this episode, and it's still obviously true, that In Utero is my favorite Nirvana record. I do like Nevermind, and I do like Bleach to a little bit of a lesser extent. But what are your thoughts on this record? Because I know you like Nirvana a little bit more than me, but what are your thoughts on the music on this record? Maybe some of the songs that you like, or maybe some that are important to you.
Yeah, I think that I guess I do like In Utero a lot, and I would say that I don't know if I like Nevermind more or less. I mean, I used to, when we first started the page like 5 years ago, that's when I listened to the most Nirvana. I haven't listened to them exclusively as much since then, but yeah, so it's probably been a little bit while, and but I think when I look through the album, like in its entirety, and the songs that are on there, and like obviously it Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Bloom, Come As You Are, Breed, Lithium, like these are, Territorial Pissings and Drain You. There's all the songs that I don't know, I kind of attached to Nirvana when I think about it. So I think subconsciously this album is definitely, I think, my favorite. And I don't know. It just seems, it has Lounge Act on it, which I've talked about a bunch of times as one of my favorite songs. I think it has really good, like, it still has its punk roots, but it has a lot of good like pop feel to it. And I don't know, sometimes I try not to think of like Kurt Cobain and the way that he writes too deeply, and I just like the way that it sounds for some reason. Yeah. And for some reason, Nirvana has always struck a good chord with me. I think, like you said, a little bit more than you. I think I can kind of listen to, like, in a way, listen to a mess and like it. Like I get away with like palating some maybe not so, I don't know, treasurable instrumentals and whatnot. And I like that about, I've always appreciated that with Nirvana, and I've liked that with other bands when people are not so polished. So, I don't know. I really don't have a grandiose reason of why I kind of enjoy Nirvana. And that's usually when people are like arguing with me of why they don't like them. They're like, you can't even like pinpoint why. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it feels, obviously you get pretty, you can get pretty into like Kurt Cobain's writing or the unplugged sessions and the passion that goes behind all of that. But I don't know. I just it's just Something in the Way is also on here. Forgot about that one for a second. That one's probably one of your more favorite songs.
It definitely is. And you brought up some interesting thoughts just in regards to Kurt and Nirvana. And I think a lot of times people get so caught up in Kurt, the person, and Kurt, I guess the brain, if that makes sense, that, you know, I don't think people pay attention to how skilled of a songwriter he was in terms of making melodies and creating music. I mean, because he was the brains behind, you know, the overwhelming majority of Nirvana's work. And I mean, you even look at this record. I mean, there's 3 songs on here that I can think of that, you know, you could put in a top 10 list of like the songs of a generation or something, and I would believe it. It's like you have Teen Spirit, and then you have Come As You Are, and you have Lithium. I mean, those songs are absolutely inescapable whenever anybody does a time capsule type thing about the grunge period. And you know, it's interesting, you know, when you compare and contrast how this record sounds with, you know, how they played live, and Kurt and Chris and, you know, and Dave were all so reverent of live music, and they held, you know, the ability to play live and the energy that you brought live in such high regard. And that's probably my favorite way to consume Nirvana, is just kind of watching them live, because they had this way of just, it's a weird combination of like, they're a little sloppy, like the don't give a fuck attitude, but like they're so sure of themselves at the same time that they just capture and create this energy. You know, you give me Nirvana in a small like club type atmosphere, like right before this broke out, you know, right before Nevermind blew up. I mean, I don't know that you can beat that. I really don't.
Yeah. I posted the other day. I just posted negative creep, and one of the comments on YouTube. And so I pulled up a show, and it was a 1990 show with Chad on the drums, and I remember, I was like, what song do I want to post? And I was kind of going through, and I saw a comment, and it was just like, wow, it was like Kurt's vocals on Negative Creep are just perfect, like, and like it was just like praising his vocals. So I pulled it up and listened to it, and you know, the live recording, and it's really good. I guess, but it's funny because it's. You know, it's a live. It's different than a studio, and it's a very specific type of kind of vocal range that you're able to that he was able to get to, and it's nothing like polished or anything like that. You know, totally. I find it interesting that somebody was like, "This is his best performance vocally."
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not so.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just funny. It's funny to say that. In a way.
I think a lot of us, myself certainly included, can fall into the trap of just kind of thinking that Nirvana and their performances and their just approach to music was almost accidental. But like, I think they were very aware of what they were good at, and they were very aware of what they could do together that would sound good. And especially, I mean, some of those live sets, because it's like, you know, sure, like, you know, Kurt wasn't playing, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan solos on the guitar, and, you know, his voice wasn't like, you know, I don't know, whatever vocalist but like the things he did so well. And it's funny, so you mentioned that one show, but there's another one they played at the Moon Cafe in New Haven, Connecticut. I think it was September 26, 91. So like 2 days after Nevermind came out, and they play a great set. It's a really small venue. And I think at that time, you know, obviously Nevermind had been out for like 2 days, and I think Teen Spirit had been out as a single for like, I don't know, like just over 2 weeks. And yeah, it's just like the energy. Like I think, you know, it's like that meme that I shared once about Kurt Cobain with the Mr. Rogers thing. It's like, I'm not very good at it, but it doesn't matter. But like, not being, this is going to sound stupid, but like, they were so good at not being very good at it. You know, like Kurt Cobain was just so good at his style. And, you know, I outside of the punk sphere, you know, there was really nobody else that probably made that style palatable and, you know, consumable for the masses. And I think that's part of what made Nirvana so successful, and it's part of what made this record so successful, is they just packaged up that, you know, punk atmosphere, underground punk, and just kind of made it available to everybody and easy to digest in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good synopsis. I'm trying to think of another like band or frontman that would be similar. And it's definitely hard to hard to really.
Yeah, like, I mean,
compare.
Somebody that comes to mind, I guess, a little bit is just like, you know, when Soundgarden and Chris Cornell would play like Searching with My Good Eye Closed, and it would just be like super slow and sludgy and stompy. You know, and it definitely got a little, like, in the best way possible, obviously, a little sloppy, just like Nirvana would. I mean, it's not well-rounded, but that's part of what makes it so good, in my opinion, you know, live.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Yeah. Maybe Isaac Brock.
Yeah, exactly. In a way, it's like, I think they all
like
channel kind of the same thing, that it's not. I think music sometimes, it's not so much about whether you hit the notes or whether the notes you hit are complicated or whether it takes a lot of technical skill to do it. I think it's about the emotion that comes from it. And Kurt, I know, was very big into that. There's, you know, many quotes there from his journals and from interviews that it's all about the energy derived from live music, and it's about what's behind it. It's not about, you know, necessarily how good you are, whether you hit that note perfectly or not. And, you know, I think for all the people that are critics of Nirvana, you know, they kind of forget about that, but I really don't think it's that important, you know?
Yeah. So I have a question for you then. Well, I was reading and said that the album originally was going to be titled Sheep because, and Kurt Cobain, he said that it was going to mimic the people that were going to buy his album. And so he wanted to call it Sheep. And then I guess one day he came in and told Chris that he was just bored and tired with the album title. So he just wanted to call it Nevermind. Do you think that it would be commercially just as big if it was called Sheep?
Yeah, I think so, because I don't think people would have gotten the joke, you know, because I'm assuming the whole sheep thing is like, oh, like they're just following along because like somebody probably told them they were supposed to listen, not because they actually like it. Obviously there was a lot of that entered into the grunge sphere, and, you know, I have my thoughts. I don't think it would have mattered what it was named, you know.
Really?
I really don't know. Yeah. What do you think? Imagine we're talking about right. Nirvana's big album,
debut
Sheep.
Album, exactly.
Debut with Geffen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess it could definitely. I mean, it probably would aged pretty well.
Yeah.
And be significant.
Didn't
like
Pink
looking
Floyd
back,
have an album called
Nevermind.
Sheep, or was it just a song?
It definitely a song.
Yeah.
I just a song, and that's a really. I did in a utopian dystopian class in high school. We listened to that and dissected it, and it was pretty awesome. A very very interesting music video.
I love that.
I think it's just I think it was actually just pulled from a movie maybe, but it was perfect. I don't know. I think that it probably would have a really similar, you know, success, but maybe even a little bit more, because it would have more like figurative meaning. But I mean, Nevermind, I guess Kurt has, you know, said that's kind of his view on a lot of things, and it was his persona at the time, and just kind of dismissive in a way. But people don't really think of the album, I don't think, really. They don't think they like take the title under a microscope like they may have if it was called Sheep. But I can't think of it in that way, in that alternate reality.
No.
I'm glad they switched it.
Yeah, I think Nevermind is just, it hits the nail on the head with just, I think, what their whole MO was back then, you know, and just a lot of those things. And I mean, even like with the Sheep title, I mean, they basically touched on all of that with In Bloom, you know, with I believe the chorus there. It's basically, you know, it's like they're singing along, but, you know, they don't really know what it's about, and they wouldn't get it either. It is interesting, you know, for somebody that admittedly didn't really put that much time, effort. Well, I shouldn't say that, but didn't emphasize, you know, the lyrics. You know, he certainly was a great writer of lyrics in his own right, obviously, and I think, you know, in terms of, I think a lot of the reason why people, you know, analyze him underneath such a microscope, both him and his music, is obviously, I think, because he died so young, you know, in 1994 at the age of 27. But it almost, it's such a weird thing that society does. It's like when somebody passes tragically and passes before their time, society just, it adds to their mystique a little bit, and it adds to their, you know, just kind of weirdly heightens their legacy, or it makes you pay more attention to it, which is a strange, you know, dichotomy, I think, but it seems like it happens with everybody who passes away. Just like, I mean, there's always renewed interest in an artist after they pass away, and, you know, Kurt has, you know, like the cliche, it's, he's been 27 for the last, you know, 27, 28 years, and he'll always be that. And, Yeah, it's interesting to think about, but I mean, this one, I mean, it is the success of all successes, and I mean, top to bottom, it's just such a great record. I mean, you mentioned, I mean, Something in the Way is obviously one of my favorites, but additionally, I love Territorial Pissings, On a Plane, Drain You. I mean, they're just, it's weird, like you said earlier, I think you mentioned it. It's really great pop writing. You know, people probably don't think about it like that, but
they don't want to say that.
It's great pop music.
Yeah, and like I think they were quoted like Dave Grohl, like when it came out, wanted to be more like less finished and whatnot.
Yeah,
and it sold millions of records, and I think that, you know, he had to say that, or something, you know, like I think they knew what they were doing, but they had to be like, this isn't what.
Yeah, because it was part of it, you know, and it was so funny. My favorite Kurt Cobain quote, because every so often we'll get somebody on the page like calling someone a sellout or saying like, oh, you're a fucking poser or something. And Kurt Cobain in an interview, I think around 93 or 94, an interviewer asked him like, well, how do you react to people that call you sellouts? He was like, I wouldn't blame, you know, your run-of-the-mill teenager for calling me a sellout, but he's like, when they'll get older, eventually they'll realize that there's more to life than living out your rock and roll identity so righteously. And, you know, I think that's certainly my view on the whole thing. And I think Nirvana is one of the most, like, you know, poser versus cult follower, you know, clash type scenarios where Nirvana's fans are really not that all welcoming of people who are just casual fans or people that might just be getting in it, or God forbid people that wear their shirts that don't know their entire discography. So I don't know, it's always interesting. That's always kind of turned me off, I think, a little bit, but it's not the band's fault, obviously. I just think a lot of music fans can tend to be a little insufferable, but it comes from a good place because they're passionate about it. But I just wish it didn't, you know, it didn't come off the way that it does. But for better, for worse, that's how it is. And, you know, I think it's no question that for better, this album came out and it achieved the heights that it did. And it, you know, has given us at this point, you know, 30 years of enjoyment.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you had to pick a song that you could say play at the end of this episode to take us out, what song would we play for?
Oh man, I love the
people.
I love the beginning of Drain You.
I do. I was looking at Drain You. I think that's really good. I really like Polly too.
Yeah,
I think that's it has a good lyrics and good story behind it too.
And I think the chorus on Breed is fantastic. I mean, you take the chorus on Breed
is great.
You take the opening hook on Drain You. I mean, you take all of Teen Spirit. I mean, this is fantastic pop writing. You know, this is just incredible. I mean, I don't know, like the hooks are just so catchy. You know, it reminds me of a lot of the things on radio
Kurt
now.
Cobain was the first pop artist.
Olivia Rodrigo is the second coming of Kurt Cobain.
Oh man,
that's gonna upset some people. Our friend Olivia Rodrigo, friend of Grunge Bible. But
she does follow.
Yeah, it's interesting. So one other footnote about this record that's been in the news lately is the.
I was gonna say, are we gonna recreate an album cover, Chris?
We're gonna raise money for Grunge Bible. We're gonna pose nude and. Yeah, it's going to be great. It'll be up on the Grunge Bible OnlyFans. But yes, the Nirvana baby, who is now a grown individual, has recently sued the band. So I'm going to be honest. Like I have not read the specifics. I don't know this person's name. And frankly, I don't give a shit that he's suing. You know. I know he said he.
Yeah, we'll leave the name out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it's all public information, obviously. Like. I don't really care that he's suing. Like, I mean, the grounds of the suit seem to be a little shaky because, like, his parents agreed to it. So it sounds like he's got beef with his parents, if nobody else. But, like, fuck, man, this thing 100%. Sold, like, over 30 million copies. Like, he's probably deserving of some amount of money. And I don't know. Somebody said the funniest thing on the page.
You just come out and ask him.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's ever asked him before. Be like, hey, man, we made a bad trade deal back in the day.
How much is you got 100 G's
Can I get
for
some
me or
royalties?
Something? Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
give me 1 month of like the gross sales.
I have
a
feeling that Dave Grohl would do that. Like if they went and talked to Dave Grohl.
I mean, Dave and Chris are probably not strapped for cash. I mean, Dave Grohl has been in every single band since 1995, and you know. I mean, Nirvana on its own is probably a well-oiled cash cow at this point, but I don't know. So somebody on the page said something really comical. They're like, "Oh, like this is an assault on the band's legacy." Like, I don't think it matters at all if somebody sued Nirvana. Yeah. Like, I don't think
that's pretty extreme. Like, I wonder how,
yeah,
how many bands over the years have been sued?
All of them. They've all been fucking sued. Led Zeppelin's in court every other week over something.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of bands that are bankrupt that you don't know about that are still super famous. Exactly. That lose these suits.
Yeah, so I just find it comical that people.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't care. Like if Nirvana gives this person, $1 million or $10 million or $100, like, doesn't impact me. I don't really care. Like, the music is still the music and the cover's still the cover. We've all seen it. We all know what it is. I just personally think he probably deserves a little bit more money than what his parents gave him. What his parents got at the time for it. But I mean, also at the time, nobody knew it was going to be that successful. So, it's like a big stock, if you invest and, next thing you know, it goes to the moon, and maybe it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Because I know I've been outspoken about it on the page, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about the great suit of Nevermind.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that this guy probably deserves some more money, especially because his parents got the money in the first place. So he probably didn't get any money technically, but he has done. I think he did the 10th, 17th, and 25th anniversary like reshoots and stuff. So he's worked, I guess he's like, he's worked with Nirvana before. So it's not like he's been dormant for 25 years. So, I mean, it's a little bit lame because I know that it's brought him a lot of like, I don't know, work. I don't know. It's probably got him a lot of fame and money through its own channels. But, again, like, I'm not the one who's on the front of Nevermind.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know how he feels, and he's certainly, I think it's well within his rights to feel differently about it now than he did maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago or even 5 years ago. Yeah. Because I know personally, there's a lot of things in my life that I was probably, I might have thought of positively back in the day that I don't now, or vice versa. But I don't know. I just think I would be the most happy, and I know this doesn't matter. I would be the most happy if they would be like, you know what, we're just going to drop the suit. And then, like, we talked about it. It's all good. They're going to drop the suit. And then Nirvana paid them $10 settle out of court or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or and then like, I just see a Venmo charge and it's like Nirvana pays Nirvana Baby $10 million for.
I hope his Venmo is actually at Nirvana Baby. I don't know.
So we can just be like, oh, and I can like it or maybe comment and be like, good, happy for you guys. And then move on.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little lame, but who cares?
I mean, I am all for. I think he deserves some more money from it. So whatever way he can, I mean, fuck, if I was on that cover and I only got like $600 for it as like a newborn, I'd probably be a little angry too. Or maybe I'm not angry, I don't know, but I would certainly want a little more money. So props to that. I think you always gotta chase the bag, as they say. I mean, which is in a way the reason why Nirvana dumped Sub Pop for Geffen Records. So history rolls on, but yes, Nirvana Baby. I am interested to see what the results or lack thereof. No, really, I don't know. You know why I'm interested? I'm interested because I can use it as cannon fodder for engagement on the pages because people eat that shit up. So you gotta play.
I'm gonna look for the. You know what we should do? We should definitely post the 25th anniversary reshoot, or I don't know. I don't even know what it looks like. I think I did see it once, but we should
seen
post
it before, yeah. But like,
we should just post that and just be like, and just put Nevermind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel kind of bad for this guy because so many people, millions of people, are shitting on him on the internet. Which I don't know.
There's a lot of people a lot different than us that are.
And if you were in that position, I don't think just being on the album cover would do it for you. I think you would see a little opportunity for some cash incentive. So, I reserve judgment until I am in that situation. I don't think anyone's going to ever ask me to pose nude in a pool for an album cover that's going to sell 30 million copies. So I guess I'll never know how he feels. It's up to him. Yeah. It's up to the band. Tell it to the judge.
Yep. Nevermind.
Yeah. Anyway, Nevermind. Yeah. We're done with that. But yeah, I mean, it's a hell of an album.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. So if you guys like what you're hearing, if you guys like this banter about Nirvana Boy and all this stuff and Nevermind, you guys know, obviously you're here listening. So we thank you very much. Continue listening. If you go to the Grunge Bible website, you can find the links to all things Grunge Bible. We have some merchandise. We have Spotify, Apple links, if you want, or YouTube, if you want to move platforms. We have our Patreon link there. And then of course we have our Instagram, Facebook, and new TikTok that Chris is hammering away.
We have over 1,200 followers now. Yeah, we have. I think last time we sat down to record, which was like 5 days ago, we had like 600. So exponential increases here. So the Grunge Bible TikTok and the Grunge Bible Twitter are making some movements here. So throw those a follow if that's your thing, and if not, I don't know what to tell you. It's it's fine. I don't really care. Just pick one. I don't care which one you follow. Just pick one and just commit to that. That's the easiest way. So if you want, we got the Instagram people. There's the Facebook people. Imagine there's people on Facebook that probably haven't seen the Instagram. Yeah, exactly.
Probably,
the best one. So
and I feel bad because we don't give Facebook the attention. They have it's like a waterfall. Like the Instagram pool is up here and waterfalls.
Whatever
and everything
catches.
else.
So it's funny, speaking about like Facebook people that don't know about the Instagram, a little bit of a story. I think it was like a week or two ago. I posted a carousel post of baseball cards with a bunch of dudes whose names were euphemisms for the male anatomy, and a lot of people got upset at it. They're like, "What the fuck, man? This isn't funny." And my favorite comment that I've received on Grunge Bible in the last couple of months was somebody commented, they're like, I found the podcast before I found the Instagram page, and I'll tell you, seeing this is not a surprise to me.
Wait.
So because he was listening...
They found the podcast?
Yeah, they found the podcast first, and then they found about the page. So they've been listening to us, and then they recently discovered the Instagram page. They're like, oh, it's the same people. And they saw that. They're like, this is not a surprise after listening to these guys on the podcast. So we're hitting home runs as far as I'm concerned. That's the best compliment we could get.
That's amazing. So he's here to stay?
Yeah. Right? Yeah, he is here to stay.
Wow.
Yep.
That's actually an incredible comment.
That fires me up. That was
an incredible story.
Yeah,
I love that.
You never know where people are going to discover you from.
So they found the podcast first. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened.
I mean,
either.
I guess when people are looking for podcasts and they go to the search bar and they just type in grunge.
Yeah. Name drop. Their name is Jordan. So Jordan, if you're listening, thank you so much. You may not have known at the time, but that comment made my day. And Ethan, I think it might be making your day now too.
Yeah, Jordan, thank you very much. I'm glad that we can shout out somebody like that, and they hopefully are going to be able to hear it. So
absolutely. Well, they listen to the podcast, so hopefully they do hear it. But nevertheless, is it time for some song of the week before we head out into the world?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. Do I have anything? I got to take a quick look. Do you have any? Some stuff lined up.
This week has been this song of the week edition is kind of strange because it's the first time in a while that I haven't been really chomping at the bit to share anything. So I'm just gonna pick something that is on one of my more recent Spotify playlists, and it is by a group called Porches, and it's a song called Range Rover. So I actually saw it. I discovered it because June Swoon, one of our favorite artists, actually, she shared it on her page, probably now maybe a month and a half ago, and I really value her music and value her musical opinions. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna check this out, and it was actually really solid. It's kind of like a synthy, like drum track poppy type thing. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of describing it, but nevertheless, I enjoy it. It's like a 2-minute long song, so it's a quick hitter too. So if you're deranged like me, you can listen to it many times in the span of 20 minutes and really get to know it. Or you just throw it on a playlist and it sounds good. But yeah, my song of the week is Range Rover by Porches.
Awesome.
No relation to the Pearl Jam song, but Porches, Porch.
Yeah. It's pretty close.
Yeah, close enough.
I love Yeah, I love music discovery through other people that I trust and that I can believe when they say this is a good song. So
I always wonder. I always wonder if on my personal page, if when I share like a Spotify link or something, if people actually click on it and who clicks on it. Maybe there's some secret musical admirers out there, but who knows?
Yeah, if that's you, speak up.
Yeah, or forever hold your peace.
I need to know. I know. I actually just posted something the other day, and I was thinking that like. Let people know I have good taste.
Send it out in the world.
Why am I doing this?
Just send it out.
No, I do it though because like when other people do that I trust, I can
agree.
Like listen to the music. I'm always like pretty happy. So I'm like, you never know. I was like, this could be good.
Yep. I've got a list of people
my song,
too. Yep.
Yep. My song. This one I was when I was at my friend's bachelor party the other weekend. I was listening to this. I actually posted it on one of our stories. I'm not sure if it was Porch Radio. It might have been both, but it was late into the night and this song came on. I was playing some like Dave Matthews and some Fish. I think I was playing like all of the jams and stuff. But it's a really great song. And it's Last Train Home by John Mayer. And it was one of the I think, was it a live version? It was a live recording, and it was just so good. And I forgot how good that song is. And I've been listening to John Mayer a little bit more. I tried to post him the other night, and it got stifled. I'm trying to post Who Says because there's a really good version where he explains it, which is pretty funny. And man, that guy can just play guitar so good. Totally. He's such a so fun to watch and listen to. And I think that I really did. You see? So he's in his 40s, and he posted something of him with Bob Weir. Well, it was a picture of the band, The Dead and Company, and he said something like music is so different for him now, and he feels like he's connecting more than ever with it. And I just think like, I don't know, the progression that man has been through in the music world, and now he's playing with the Dead the way that he is, like
it's really cool.
Opening. Yeah, it is really quite the transformation. He's going to be around for a while playing music.
Yeah.
I think he's going to try and rival.
Let's hope so. Yeah, he's great.
So yeah, Last Train Home, really great. I just added them both to the playlist, so we're set. That's all we got for the song of the week this week.
I love to hear it.
A couple great ones.
That's fantastic. So that's our songs of the week, and I think that's our podcast for the week as well. Unless you have any closing thoughts, I think we will we'll catch that last train and we'll head on out.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, this is great. Thank you again for listening. Drew, thanks for doing all the editing. You're great. And Chris, thank you for being across the table with me.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan. Here's to half a year of podcasts.
That's exactly right. Here's to another half year.
Here's to it. Let's get to it then. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. We will catch you all next week with another album review from an album that is celebrating its anniversary in the month of September. So until then, take care. Have a good one. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, guys. Take it easy.